Hey, welcome back, everybody. Another exciting episode of In the Chute is about to take off. Kaylin, what have you got for me today?
All right. So there are TikTok trends. I don't know if you know what TikTok is, but it's where they put like videos together.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's been some things like trends like, oh, I'm gonna go to a gas station at 6 o'clock and meet me a blue collar boy, and I'm gonna get them that way. And then the women and wives of blue collar guys are like, yeah, you don't want to do that because they're grumpy. They're there for Copenhagen and coffee, and that's it. But kind of
What the
stemming
hell are
off
you
of that,
thinking?
yeah, exactly. But then stemming off of that, Yellowstone, its fourth season has premiered. There's I think 3 episodes in now, and of course, all the girls are now diverting their attention towards the cowboy heartthrobs, right? And they're like,
Right.
oh, Casey Dutton, John Dutton, blah 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 blah. Really, the only one there that
What
knows
about
how
the
to
Carpenter Boys?
exactly.
Have you heard that at all?
the thing is though, like the only one that is actually a real cowboy is Lloyd, who's the guy with the big walrus gray mustache. But
Forey Smith.
Yeah, and my point was, I actually wrote some things down here. I was like, and I want to get your point or your idea after I say this, but like the reality of these kind of guys are, you're not going to get the Rips and the Johns of Yellowstone in the real world. They're well, some of them maybe, but
there's a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, but
anyway,
hold on.
ahead, sorry.
We've had several episodes specifically about this, but then the other thing too is like those guys they wear the same thing every year, and it's like the weather doesn't change. Like even when it's hot out, they're still wearing stuff. I'm like, take that stuff off. Like, man, yeah, whatever. But then they overdress. Things like they don't realize the nature part of it. Like you think everything's beautiful there, but there's also another half of Montana. Yeah. There's also wind. So you're gonna hate the wind. You're gonna get driven crazy. Most cowboys talk with a fake twang and sound like idiots, and they can't speak with any grammatical correctness whatsoever. Also, like they think of things like mudding and how that's cool and whatnot. And I'm kind of tying other things into it as well
than mudding? Just the Yellowstone. What the hell's mudding?
It's like when they go driving in mud and like tearing up the ground and stuff. And I was like, we would never do that.
On purpose?
Yeah. But like that's why I'm like, I'm kind of tying multiple things together here, but it started with Yellowstone, right? And that's where my mind went. But I was just like, girls, if you're going to be doing this, like you need to know what you're getting into, because you clearly have no idea what's going to happen.
See, in Montana, we have 9 months of skiing followed by 3 months of really poor skiing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're getting driven crazy, but like I said, the wind all the time.
Wind. Yeah.
There's a reason why the crazy mountains are called the crazy mountains.
That's partly. Yeah. I don't know that. If a girl is looking for a dude like that and he really wants somebody in ag, they're looking for work.
Yeah.
Because those guys are just, there's more playing and beer and whiskey drinking on that show than there is actual work going on.
Or illegal things.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah.
No, I just thought it was something that was something to talk about, because I just thought like the idea and the notion that the cowboys are like the fun guys, and you're like, you just, it's like the blue collar thing that I was talking about, right. It's a great idea on the surface, but then when you really dive into it, it's not. It's totally different lifestyle, and I don't think you would enjoy it.
Well, yeah, it sounds to me like you got a little subculture underground thing going on there where they're idealizing a character.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Trying to find that in some guy, and it's like, yeah, you don't want that.
Do you think maybe that is part of it? Because like most of them say like John Dutton and Rip are like the two heartthrobs of the show, and they're kind of like the bad boys, so to speak.
Exactly.
I think that's what it is. It's just that,
sure
that bad boy thing. Yeah.
Most, and I shouldn't say most, but a lot of women like bad boys. I mean, I don't think that's changed a lot. Even back before I married your mother, dating her. I mean, girls would, you treat some of them really nicely, and they'd be like, yeah, you're just too nice. And they'd find some guy that treated them like crap. I was like, why would you do that? And I don't think that's changed a lot for some. I mean, that's a broad brush too, but you'd see it happen a lot. I mean, oh well, whatever makes them happy.
All right. Well, that's gonna be a short in the shoot.
Well,
There we go.
that just shows you that. I guess that just shows you the influence of
like pop culture.
pop culture and
Yeah.
how it comes about because of a few short episodes or a caricature of somebody that
Mm,
isn't necessarily true. I mean,
yeah.
it's propagandizing a little bit, but it's you can sell a lot of things, and you've heard me say this before. You don't sell a steak because it's a steak. You sell a steak because of the sizzle that's on it. And
Yeah.
that's what they're doing
That's a
is
good point.
they're putting a motif out there, but they're putting a characterization with it that's like some kind of an irresistibility, or boy, if I could just tame that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost like
No,
a
that's a good
challenge.
point. I didn't think about that, but
Yeah, I
but
mean, sure.
I think it's also like pairing it with the nature part. Maybe that's what it is it's such a unique thing where most people don't get to be in the mountains like the Yellowstone Ranch is.
Right.
And so like there's that thing like, oh, I could travel and I could see that, or I could experience that, and that's what maybe that draw is.
Well, I think it's twofold. I think you're hitting it from two different directions. One with uh, probably a very raw sexuality with a couple of leading guys that are rough and tough or ruthless,
Mhm.
and how many women do you know that have wanted to try to control someone like that? I mean, if you can control somebody who is uncontrollable or who controls a lot of other things, you then it de facto are in control
Right.
if you can control them. So I mean, there's a lot of psychological stuff probably along with that goes along with it as to the why and what makes it so irresistible. But I think that's also probably part or purposeful on the part of the writers of that thing. I mean, they got some great writing,
Yeah, because they
as
bring
we've
in
talked
it
about
attracts
before.
more viewers.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And who's your target? Your target there is everything. I mean, Beth has got, uh, well, it's kind of trashy sexuality, but I mean, she attracts guys. I mean, the whole thing. Uh, if you haven't been in that kind of job or done those kinds of things, is somewhat attractive. It's like, ooh, I'd like to be like them. And some of the women are like, ooh, I'd like to be with that guy. I mean,
Mhm.
that's so it's attracting both sides. I think that's very purposeful. It's to hold an audience. That's the purpose of a writer, right? Whether it's a book or movie or a TV series, whatever it is. I think that's the whole thing, is to attract that audience member so that they identify or have a need to identify, and it holds them. That's what
Yeah,
it's about.
that makes sense. So I guess, yeah, with that, I think it's just the reality is not nearly as attractive as the screenwriting.
Well, no, and I think once
Uh,
I think ask any young lass who has set her sights on some bad boy, after a time that badness wears pretty thin. I mean, that too can be kind of just the whole drinking, carousing, raising
oh
hell.
yeah.
That got. I did that kind of stuff when I was young,
Some of
and
them never grow out of it though.
some of them never grow out of it. Exactly. Well, and you got to open your eyes and go, man, all I'm doing, I wish I had that money back. I wish I had that
Yeah.
time back.
Yeah.
So that also wears thin on the big players that are actually doing it. So
Well, with that, we will take the Yellowstone / blue collar heartthrobs and put that one out the pasture.